Hello, good afternoon, and happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Xvlog Live. I'm your temporary host, You Can't Beat Cake, and on today's new episode, we have breaking news. The once exclusive Helldivers 2 has been confirmed for the Xbox Series X and S consoles this August. Thanks so much for tuning in, and now I turn the show over to Mr. BoomStick XL.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to X Vlog Live. Of course, I am now your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. A big shout out to my nephew, Tyler, who is interning with me for the summer, and he's learning all of the ins and outs of podcasting, how to video edit, how to make a thumbnail, how to write a script. And his first time on camera, ladies and gentlemen, he's opened up numerous shows, and he was a little, nervous about going on camera. Well, folks, a big congratulations to Tyler for going on camera for the first time. So it was awesome. Thank you, Lad. Lad says, amazing intro, Tyler. So there you go. And there's my brother from another, Mr. Vindication himself. C Money. This is going to be a show, folks. This is going to be a show of TTS, and it's going to be a show of reflection. Yesterday, the Xbox community kind of imploded. You had a lot of people like myself speaking out against Xbox, as we should, because there were people that were affected. 9,100 people to be exact. Over 1,000 from. Again, it's over 1,000 from Xbox, but a total of 9,100 plus people across Microsoft and Xbox. And of course, second half of the show, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about, we're going to reflect a little bit on it, and then we're going to talk about, where Xbox Game Studios goes next. How do they regain the trust of the people that are excited for games that have not been seen at the showcase? So we got some information thanks to Okami13, who basically set up an incredible bullet point breakdown of everything that happened yesterday, and we'll do that. But see, Money. Shout out to, see, he's smiling. So when you're smiling, I got to be smiling. And you know what's interesting? Last July, you and I were here on Xvlog Live, and I know it's July because thanks to Kloop. Kloop, by the way, is one heck of a community member. He put it out there. Now, we didn't specifically break the news because we were sworn to secrecy, but I think everyone knew exactly what we were talking about. And lo and behold, this morning, I'm at the gym, and I go to Twitter as I just got done almost 5 miles of like putting in the work, and on top of that, I did some weight and stuff. So I got my in today, and I look at my phone as I'm just taking a sip of water, and I see I got 17 DMs, and I'm like, oh shit, what has happened? Did I say something? What happened? And then I get a call from Everborn, and all I'm hearing is laughter. He's like, boom, my brother, you have been vindicated. And I'm like, okay, what has happened? Well, what has happened, ladies and gentlemen, is Helldivers 2 has launched or is launching on Xbox Series X and S in August. You know what's interesting? You and I, my brother, were clipped. Those clips were shared around. People did videos. People did podcasts. And where are those cowards now? Probably on vacation. They took a day because they took a little early leave because tomorrow is the 4th of July. I figured, you know what? Let's get out early on this. How are you feeling, C Money, today after the vindication has come forth?
Well, I mean, obviously, like we heard from someone,
Yes,
so
we did.
that we got the info, and then we saw a back. I don't know. I'm assuming you saw it too, but I saw the back end on Xbox.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Xbox had a back end site already ready for Helldivers 2.
Yes,
it was there.
Yep,
It
we
was
both
on
saw
their
that. As a
site.
matter of fact, we compared notes, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So we saw that. So we knew that something had to be cooking. It was there. Why would Xbox have Helldivers 2 on their actual website, the Xbox website, that now that page is actually live
Mhm.
with Helldivers there. So they had that shit ready to go for a long time. And look, it's not like you and I claim to be some insiders or something like that. You know what I'm saying? We just got some information and we were pumped about it. We couldn't say anything, but we knew that it was happening. And then people, were so in their feelings about it that they wanted to kind of come at us and act like we were delusional and stuff. It's like, come on, man. First of all, why would I even care to make up something like that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just something that it's just information
Well,
that
you know
we
what?
know.
We don't roll like that. Okay, so
Mhm.
our content is a bit different. Like I report the news, and you like to throw salt, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the one thing that we don't do, the one thing we have never done, is more specifically lie about something for clicks. We don't need to swim in those waters. Again, our content is similar but a bit different, and that is okay. But the one thing that I can say without a doubt is that we don't have to make shit up for you to tune into our programs. You know what you're going to get when you tune in. And lying is not a part of that. So when people, of course,
Facts.
ran with that C money, it not that it hurt. I don't care what anyone says about me. I'm 54 years old. There is nothing anyone could say about me that's going to make me run or cry. But please continue, kind sir.
Yeah, I mean, it was just funny. Because I mean, again, I'm as you said, right? I'm in it for the tears, right? If they're going to see something like this, I knew they were gonna melt down. We knew it. We knew once this got announced, it would be crazy, right? That people would just be crying, and they are, right? Like you got the certain people already saying that Hiroki Totoki is the Phil Spencer of PlayStation, right? They're all melted down already. It's glorious, but I will say that although I definitely have seen the crying and it's like dramatic crying, like stupid crying. I also have seen a pretty significant amount of the actual gamers, like the actual people who play Helldivers, um, all extremely pumped,
Yeah.
like really pumped that this
I've
is
already gotten
happening.
invites to team up with people on PlayStation, like
Bro,
numerous.
people are really, really pumped. I don't know if it's cross. I haven't read into it too much. I don't know if it's like cross play and cross
Oh, it's
progression.
cross everything, dude.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. You know what? Let me
Because
pull it
right
up.
now, I think PC and PlayStation 5 are not cross progression. I don't know if it's
I will
cross
get the
play.
exact note.
Um, but I mean, they are like these people are ready. Like they're not crying. They're just in it for the game. And that was refreshing to see, right? It's nice to kind of see the duality of the ponies crying and having breakdowns,
So
which
here
is
it is. I got the
glorious.
presser in front of me. This comes the way of all people. Sports Illustrated, ladies and gentlemen, is
Mm,
the one that the
nice.
report that came up with me. It says yes, Helldivers 2 will have full cross-play support between Xbox Series XS, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Mm.
Well, there you go. Confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. So, yes, all of the invites that I'm starting to get, and my DMs are starting to get loaded with them. Hey, Boom, do you want to team up? Absolutely. And you know why today is even more delicious? Now,
Mm.
obviously, I buy a lot of games, and I have a specific credit card that I use to buy those games. And I always get a lot of points because I buy a lot of games, right? Well, if it's not the Nintendo Switch 2, it's something else. It's a game. It's this. So just the other day, Simon, this is tasty, ladies and gentlemen. Vindication tastes like filet mignon. I had enough points for a free $50 Xbox card, which came yesterday. And what did I buy with that? The $60 edition that cost me $10. And you know what? It actually didn't cost me $10 because I had the $10 from the points that I have automatically come out every July, every first of every month. So I literally got the game for free.
Mm. That's tasty.
Delicious.
That's
Delicious.
tasty. But that's it's dope news that it's happening because
Yes.
again, I mean like this industry that we're in is wild. And a game like Helldivers is not like something like that is not going to just survive
It
closing off a
can't.
segment of players,
Right.
right? You
Can't.
gotta take every chance you have to have people playing your game. It's clear from the response from Xbox players that they're pumped to kind of get into that game. It never really interests me too much. Obviously I have a PC. I could have played it.
Well, I
I
bought it
haven't
on
played
I
it.
bought the $60 edition on PlayStation. And I actually bought microtransactions. Like the game is phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, now it's on Xbox. I don't know. I'll see. It is what it is. The point is that it's cool that it's out, or that it's coming out. It's cool that they are now um having more players available, and also just another confirmation, right, to all the ponies and the people who swear that PlayStation's not bringing their games over, blah 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 blah. It's happening, and then of course they're going to say, "Well, this is a multiplayer game," or now they're going to say, "Well, it's not first party technically; it's a first party game, but not a first party studio." You'll see all the ways to make this for them to self soothe, right? To make this
Oh
feel better
yes.
for them. um, but at the end of the day, we all can see what's happening in the industry. Um, it's just it's not it's not the time to think that your subset of players are enough. Look at what happened to Death Stranding 2. Again, another game that is not a PlayStation, game. They help fund it, whatever. I guess they publish it, but Kojima owns it. It's more than likely going to be everywhere um, at some point or another. Um, but again, look at how bad it's doing, right? On the PlayStation with the people who claim that this is what they love and they're so pumped for it. And this is another game that made them fall in love with gaming again. Yo, these are the most dramatic group of people I've ever,
Yeah.
ever seen in
It's
my life,
crazy.
yo.
I've seen
The
I've seen
words
some
that
of
they
the
use are
things.
crazy.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I kind of before we get into more conversation about how Death Stranding doing on PlayStation 5, which by the way, the game looks gorgeous. I can't wait to play it on Xbox because it is going to come to Xbox, and that's why I didn't buy it for PS5. I will buy it on Xbox gladly. But you know what's interesting? And this is where the TTS conversation comes in. You'll appreciate this.
Mm.
Does Helldivers 2 on Xbox being published by PlayStation Studios officially make them third-party publisher? I'm kind of wondering about that because some people are trying to defend this and say, well, the studio really wanted. Folks, PlayStation is third party. Welcome to the team. And if you think it's going to
It was
stop
always going to
here,
be, bro. Did
yeah,
you see Aaron Greenberg's tweet?
I
he
know. I
he wrote
actually didn't. Let me go find it.
he said welcome Arrowhead and Helldivers to Xbox. It's just funny. Just
Wow, I love it.
it's just a funny way to write it, right? And kind of what he's doing, right? He's basically saying like, "Hey, you're here now, right? You're part of this. This is what you're doing." Look, uh, at the end of the day, like the people who are stuck on the console war shit and they need it in their life to feel like, oh, PlayStation uh will never go third party because they have standards and they know the value of the console and blah 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 blah. And it's like, I understand that there's people who are stuck in the past with this console war shit. I get it. This is the way they want to do it. At the end of the day, look, it's better for every gamer if games are just available as much as possible. And it's better for the studios. Like, understand those same people who sat there, and that's why you can't take none of it seriously. The same people who sat there talking crap about the layoffs that took place, right? And how could Xbox do this and all this other nonsense, right? Are the same people who sit there and say, nah, these games shouldn't go everywhere else. S- Death Stranding 2 having 700,000 players or whatever the hell it is, selling less than the original one sold when it dropped, selling less than Astrobot sold, which Astrobot didn't sell much of crap, to begin with. So, like, for it to be so low, you don't think Kojima, as a developer, as somebody who put all their energy into that game, would have just loved their game to be available on PC and on Xbox on the same day, and maybe got 2-3 million on the first shot instead of just the little that they got? Like, come on, man. It's always going to be uh like this baby bullshit. And I
Yeah.
mean, this is why I love what Xbox is doing, right? They're getting out of the mud, right? We joke about it all the time on our show. PlayStation, Nintendo, they're still in the mud, right? They're still doing this console war shit, and they're still trying to, no, pick me, pick me. This is the only place you can buy my games. And Xbox is just like, nah, I'm good, fam. Nah, we'll take all y'all money. You know what I'm saying? We'll take all the money. Just keep it coming. And that's what it is. And it's not even just about Xbox themselves, but it's just it's the developers, right? It's the games. Like we have to, kind of put things together, right? Perfect Dark, this other thing, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit, but like Perfect Dark looked amazing when we saw it, right? But let's be real, it's a trailer, right? It's something that was put together. It's a showpiece. It was choreographed to be a certain way, right? Um, but at the end of the day, obviously the game wasn't where it needed to be, and the amount of time it was going to take to get it there is it was not it, right? Now, I don't know if that game it's clear that game was probably gonna just drop on Xbox for now, and then eventually do the port. But then, you start thinking about the numbers, start thinking about everything, and all this stuff kinda takes, it's a factor, right? Like, they have to look at all these things and what's gonna make sense. And, these people with this you know, one console release, again, you've seen the struggle of the PlayStation games to be able to sell. I mean, there's a reason why they don't have, you know, third party deals anymore from major publishers, right? Like that there's a reason why the Capcoms of the world stopped. There's a reason why um I'm blanking on the other ones, but Sega, shit. There's a reason why Sega stopped, right? Like there's a reason, right? The games are not selling the way that these developers and these publishers want them to sell. It just is what shit. Games are having enough struggle if they do launch everywhere, right? Because there is so much competition as far as time and stuff like that. And like honestly, it's it's refreshing to see that PlayStation is going to continue to release stuff over no matter what the ponies want you to believe. Um it's only smart business. And Hiroki Totoki from the beginning has been all about the business. They told you their games were going to be everywhere. And it just makes sense, right? It just makes sense that at some point it'll happen. Um Xbox is moving faster than everybody else as always, but they're leading the way. And as we get through the the rough patch of the stuff that has been going on, we can get back to focusing and remember all the good that's coming and all the good that's been done. So, I'm this Helldivers 2, it's cool that it's coming again. It's not necessarily something that I was like, oh my god, maybe I'll see, I don't know, at some point, but um like the fact that it's coming is good news. It's good for the industry. It's good for Arrowhead. We already know Arrowhead was also kind of done, not necessarily done, but
Well, I mean,
definitely
they walked away from PlayStation
they walked away
exclusivity,
from PlayStation. Yep, for their next game. So,
right?
like,
So, I mean, look, I mean, all you got to do is go back to the head of the studio's tweet, and it was scathing for sure. It was a bit pointy. He specifically said something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, folks, so bear with me. When you 100% of pay fund your game, you make 100% of the decisions. And I'm sure that the decision to put Helldivers 2 is something that they wanted to happen sooner than later. Well, all the money they made, and I'm being not being facetious, folks. I'm being honest. They made a lot of money on Helldivers, but most of that money, and I don't have a percentage in front of me, came the way of Steam. Did not come the way of PlayStation. PlayStation players bought it, like myself, who happily bought it and played it and very much enjoyed it. And enjoyed it so much, even bought some DLC for it. Right? So I double dipped. I have no problem. I said if it ever came to Xbox, and we knew that it was happening, we just didn't know when specifically. I'm a man of my word. I bought the game today, and again, like I said, a $60 game with all with the bonus stuff didn't wind up costing me anything because I got it for free, which is awesome, even better. But as exciting as this is, and as much vindication as we should feel, because again, people did come for us. You saw the videos, you saw the clips, you saw the people talking on social media. None of that means anything to me. Social media isn't real, folks. Social media is fake, and it's for cowards who would never say some of the things that they say to people in real life. That's just the way it is. And
or they'll say it one time and then
under their breath,
never do that shit again.
Well, they wouldn't get a second chance, but that's fine. But you know what's interesting? Obviously, C-Money, this is the story of the day. And, what this ultimately does is close down a lot of narratives and to many of the points you were already making about Sony being this walled garden, right? Like this untouchable walled garden that has exclusives that are great. Listen, maybe a lot of people in this chat don't really care for the Spider-Mans of the world or some of the, God of Wars or even Horizon for that matter. And they have great IPs. Sony really does. No one is denying that. But when you see MLB The Show being forced onto Xbox, because that's ultimately what happened, right? Now you see this game, Helldivers 2, one of the biggest games of 2024, a big money maker for Sony, right? Now, obviously, PlayStation players like myself did buy it, sure, but the majority came the way of PC, and the PC numbers are still really good. Well, now you have, again, we don't know specifically how many Xbox players are there. Are there 40 million? Are there more? I don't know, but just for shits and giggles, let's say that there are 40 million players. Are 40 million players going to buy this game? The answer is no. You're probably going to sell 2, 3, maybe even 5 million. But that's money that was left on the table by Sony. And folks, I just want you to know, should this game do well on Xbox, and I believe it is going to do extremely well on Xbox, this is one of those types of situations where the money people at Sony, i.e. Hiroki Totoki, and the board members, which if you didn't know, folks, Sony's publicly traded. And I'm sure that there were people on that board saying, you got no first-party games coming out. You're paying for all of these third-party exclusive deals. Xbox is making a bunch of money on our platform, right? Yeah, we're getting 30%, sure. But if we put our games over there, 70% is greater than 30, at least by my mathematics. So, folks, I really think that, and again, someone's going to clip this and say, "Yo, boom, talking S again." It's fine. If Helldivers 2 success is rampant, and let's just say for shits and giggles, this is going to be the backbreaker. What if Helldivers 2 sells better on Xbox than it did on PlayStation 5?
That'd be wild.
I mean, is it possible? Sure. I mean, with MLB, right?
They're the people who have been waiting for this game are gonna have to show up for it now that they've been saying it. Like you said, if it ever comes, you would buy it. So
yep,
you already did your part.
Yes.
It's the people to see if were they full of shit? Were they saying they wanted this game but then weren't gonna get it, or are they gonna show up for it? I mean, look, either way, like you said, like any sale they get is a sale they weren't gonna, right? And now that it's open, you do now allow your game to get that hype moment where if somebody is playing or a friend is playing, they're like, "What's that?" And they're like, "Oh man, this Helldivers 2 I got on my PlayStation is awesome." And now if that person's an Xbox player, they can be, oh shit, okay, let me go get it, right? We could play together. I'll go get the game, right? So like it just now it stops that idea of, oh wait, but what platform is it on, right? It allows it to be a game that exists in a broader sense now. So with more availability, it just makes it better for them. And again, it's just going to help them with their next game that they're making, um, especially considering that their next game is going to be multi-plat. It's it's a good way for them to go ahead and drop. And it's funny because I guess they did an exchange, right? Like let's not get it twisted, right? We know what happened with Xbox, right? So
Right.
all the news was that we were going to get it Monday, and then it was like, okay, well then it must be on the first day of their fiscal year, which was Tuesday. But then
Yeah.
we didn't get it till Wednesday. Why didn't we
Yep.
get it till Wednesday? Because today they knew obviously they knew that Thursday the news was going to drop. And just like that, and this is why, and I got to tell you, Boom, I feel vindicated in other ways because this is why it's all BS, right? Because so many people now are back on the hype train for
Mhm.
what's happening with Xbox. Look at all the Twitter, right? Everybody's, oh wow, look at what's happening. It's coming to Xbox, haha ponies, blah blah blah. And all the crying from yesterday is fading away, right? Because we all know why we're really here, and it's because of the games. The games are what we're here for. The
Indeed.
fact that we know what happens on the back end on these big companies when the reality is that you don't know what's happening on other big companies, and you don't care what's happening to these other companies around the world all the time, right? Because you just are a consumer of the product. So as a consumer of the product, pretending that all this other stuff is the end of the world is wild because again, my point is proven. Look at the narrative today. Today, people are pumped again, right? Done. All they have to do is drop a new game, drop a dope trailer, drop something, and then the gamers will remember why they're here for, right? They're here to play games. Everything else is just the fluff, bro. Just what it is, man.
It's true. So again, before we move on to what happened yesterday, because we have to cover it, right? It's still a part of
Oh,
the
for sure.
news, and
We
we're
still
gonna
didn't cover it yet. We'll talk about it
yeah,
tonight.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're not going to harp on it. I do have bullet points thanks to Okami 13 who set it up real nice. So I want to use what he had to say, read it verbatim, and just ask a question to the community. I mean, obviously, when things this big happen, trust is broken, right? And I get it. A lot of people like, oh, I'm worried about this one because they said these games were doing well. Phil Spencer was clipped on saying, "Oh no, they're in a good place." Rare, and look what happened, right? So, we'll get into that, second half of the show after I read the super chats. But C Money, just real quick though, and again, this is not being scandalous. This is not being an a-hole about it. I do want to revert back to the original question. If this does well on Xbox, and I really believe it will it's going to do really well on the console. It's a multiplayer game. Multiplayer gamers play on Xbox. That is a fact. And I'm not saying they don't play on PlayStation, but the majority of multiplayer, when you say it, will tell you that Xbox or PC is the place to be, right? No one looks to PlayStation for multiplayer. People look to PlayStation for games like Ghost of Yotai, which is coming out later this year. And I think that's going to be a smash hit. There's no doubt about it. That game is going to be amazing. If you like the original Ghost, you're going to love this. So there's no doubt about that. But does the potential success of this game ring in more potential first-party releases on Xbox? I.e., and I'm going right back to it, folks. You know where I'm going. Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales. Because again, folks, yes, Insomniac made those games. Yes, they have the rights to the film. They don't own the rights to the video game. Now and I've said this before, folks, and I don't have the contracts in front of me, so I don't really know. I'm just speculating. But I'm sure a lot of the use of Spider-Man in the MCU has a lot to do with Spider-Man being locked down to PlayStation and now PC. Now, again, obviously, if it's still only on PlayStation, it's definitely unlikely that it would ever come to Xbox. But it's been on PC for a minute. And I'm sure that the money people, Hiroki Totoki, is looking at this and like, well, we're leaving money on the table. Insomniac knows how to work with Xbox. What if that happens? Is that the straw that broke the camel's back, or is this, or has the back been broken already with Helldivers 2, which we were told we were lunatics for thinking that Sony would put it on the console? They would block it, according to some.
This is the shit. Boom. This has already been decided many moons ago. We covered it so long ago when Hiroki Totoki and the guy who was above him at Sony at the time put out individual statements saying essentially the same thing. Their games will be ubiquitous. They will be everywhere you can compute. They want their games everywhere. Understand, they don't even have their next gen console mapped out yet because they don't know which way they're going to go 100%, because they see the tea leaves, right? They can see what's happening. They can see the fact that at the end of the day, the world is moving in this direction. Why would they limit themselves? Are they going to go ahead and take old games and port them over? Maybe, but just like Xbox is kind of being a bit finicky of to what, older games they go back and do, right? It's a lot easier
Right.
just to make new games that are already having it in mind and going back and porting it. So I'm not saying that it's not a possibility, but and to be clear, like I just said with Helldivers 2, right? The fact that it's coming here didn't perk me up like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go buy it, right? Like I don't care. I have a PlayStation, right? I could have bought it there a long time ago. I could have bought it on PC. I have Spider-Mans and God of Wars and all that crap. I don't care if these things come or they don't, but I think the the industry is leaning towards the way where PlayStation is going to be foolish to just leave the money on the table when, it's funny because they talk about um you know, why would you buy an Xbox if you can buy a PlayStation and have availability of Xbox games, right? But that conversation now is obviously clearly going to be, why would you buy a PlayStation, right? If you can buy an Xbox and have access to Xbox games, PlayStation games, PC games, everything, right? Like at the end of the day, what's the difference for PlayStation if their game is going to be available via Steam on Xbox? Why not just bring an official port over as well to get the rest of the people who are not going to buy it on Steam? Right? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. Remember, it's funny because I was just about to say it and I glanced over. I see Understanding. He points out like Wukong, right? That's already coming over, right? All the Final Fantasies are coming over, right? Like it it's already happening all around them, right? Why they're the ones who need it most. Why not go ahead and just do it, right? I just think it makes smart business sense for them. I think Hiroki and the squad already told everyone this was going to happen, right? This is the plan. This is what he came here to do, is
Yep.
to make them money, because they haven't been making money as far as the net profit, right? They just have it. No matter how you cut it, it's their gross and their net are very different beasts, right? So like understand that that is going to be something to come, right? And
Yeah.
people will mock and laugh now, and then every game that slowly makes its way over um will just have the same conversation, right? It's just going to slowly happen more and more and more. And I would say, their new single player games are going to be, coming over, but I don't know if they're making any more after these next few, right? Between Intergalactic and Ghost to Yote, it seems like they just doubling and tripling down on this idea of, the live service games, right? They got that Team LFG going. So,
Yeah.
we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, boom. If once they see success with this as well, it's just piling it on, right? You already know for sure they're in an office doing the same thing that Phil and everybody was doing last February when they were trying to figure out what they were going to do and how they were going to bring it over and what lessons they were going to learn and how far they're going to go into putting things over. 100%, like you hear from them that this is the way, right? It's just what's happening, man. You could see it. It's happening in front of you. These are facts. These are not hopes and dreams. Hellblade. I'm sorry, Hellblade. Well, Hellblade's going over there, but
Yeah.
Helldivers 2 is coming. First party. I know. Multiplayer. Great. We'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, I think it's gonna happen. I think over time, I think they'll start coming in. I don't. Again, the only thing I don't know is if they'll go back. You know, I don't know how far back they'll go to bring things. But who knows?
Only time is going to tell, brother. Great way to open up today's show. Again, of course, we're not going to forget and try to, put to bed what happened yesterday. We are going to break it down, folks, because again, I don't normally like to write epilogues on Twitter because most people don't read them. But I wrote one yesterday specifically about Xbox and how at the time I was, listen, I was in my feelings because again, I always put the human element before anything. I did that as a police officer, and I do it now as a podcaster. People matter, folks. They do. Some people yesterday, and we don't do the names thing here, folks, because we don't need that smoke and we don't need that kind of content. We're taking their victory laps about Xbox being dead again. I think they've died 178 times already. It's been ridiculous.
Literally Walking Dead. Okay,
yeah, literally The Walking Dead. Let me pull up the Okami tweet. So Okami13_, great member of the community, put out a bullet point.
Wait, did you get the super chats?
You know what? I did not. Let me get the super chats. Thank you, sir. I'm glad you reminded me. So first of all, the first channel member chat of the day comes the way of our good friend Iman Burns in the chat. He's been a channel member, ladies and gentlemen, for 37 months. Iman, salute to you for the support. He says, those fired people were because of AI. Phil and cronies shouldn't post anything because they just look like greedy, like knobheads. I mean, look, yesterday's removal of the 1,000 plus people from Xbox and ultimately 9,100 people across Microsoft. I don't know what the redundancies were. I don't know how much AI was involved in it. I'm sure AI played a huge part of it. I don't know, they mentioned middle managing or managers, is that a thing? Are middle managers somehow mucking up the process of, game development? They wanted to go from manager to developer and cut out the middleman. I don't know any of that because
it makes decisions faster, man. That's what it is. Like
it does ultimately. And you're a businessman. Yeah.
Like I see, I have a parent company, some would say, that's separate from my company. And I see how they run it and how I run it, and I do it the same way. I'm way more flat than they are, right?
Yeah.
And I can see the difference, right? I see the customer satisfaction because there's so many different levels, and obviously they're not we're not talking Xbox as a retailer or deals with customers in that way. But just between their developers and them, the big decisions are rarely handled by these middle managers, right? Like they're brought to the middle managers, and the middle managers have to go and kind of get like the final word. So it's like, why even have that, right? Like, let's just cut the fat and get people doing their job right. That makes sense.
I mean, that's the great points of view, brother. Day Reezy, our good friend Day Reezy in the chat says Helldivers 2 for Xbox consoles in August. Looks like exclusives are dead. Let's go. Breaking up the olives.
Gears, bro.
What's that?
Crazy. Same day as Gears.
Yeah, you're not lying. He says, break out the olives and
No,
mustard. That should tickle
nope,
C Money's fancy.
nope,
I'm not sure about that, but it will
no
definitely. I
thanks.
like olives and mustard, so it's good for me. Not good for
Nobody
C
does. It's a lie.
Money.
It's a lie.
We have Everborn Saga, who of course is being
You.
slanderous with a $2 super chat. Says, well, with the eyeballs, indeed. I got to get him on the horn so we can talk more about this. We also have Dave Reezy drops an additional very generous $2 super chat. He says, will Helldivers 2 be on Xbox before or after Xbox dies?
Mm.
That's a good question. I maybe before they die and then everything just collapses. I don't know, Dave Reezy. That's a good one. JJ saying 117 in the chat. Shout out to you, brother. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, glad to see new recruits to defend democracy. Also, why Dreamcast guy is spreading misinformation about OD when the Reddit topic was a grain of salt. I mean, that's his business, man. That's just, he'll throw another, gif of him on there slapping his face in the oh no face and like, oh, listen, OD was a game that saw a lot of hands touch it, and the only one that wanted a part of it was Xbox. He went to PlayStation first, from what we understand, and they wanted no part of it. And because at that point, Death Stranding had not sold very well for them, and maybe they didn't want to invest in it. Who knows? As far as we know, OD is still a thing. It is. He's working with Jordan Peele from the couple of horror movies that he's done. I think it's going to be an anthology kind of a thing. I don't know if there's development woes or not, but there was something on Reddit that him and Xbox have split ways. I don't think so. I mean, for crying out loud, some of Kojima's stuff is still on Phil's shelf. I don't
No,
know.
I don't think so. And it's funny that you just said that anthology thing because that would be fire. One of my favorite is Dark Pictures. I
Yes,
love I love all those games.
they're great. They're
Some
great
are
horror
better than others,
games.
but they're great, great games. So I would love it would actually be really sick. I feel like the only way I can really get down with Kojima's games if it were horror, because I
Yeah.
feel like his mindset might make it interesting and scary. So it would be dope if it is an anthology similar to Dark Pictures, where it's just a bunch of different games under the OD, branding. That'd be sick. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Speaking of horror games, did you play through anybody in the chat as well as you see money? Still Wakes the Deep.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
beat
well, there's
that real good.
DLC. I don't know whether you know
Huh?
that or not. There's DLC that
I
just
do
came out. It's
not.
a whole expansion. I just finished it.
Hold
It was
on.
excellent. So if you love the first game, you're probably going to love that the expansion. I'm also started playing because I bought it. I think I bought it when it was on sale. Is the one where you have to be silent or the creatures hear you? My God, what's the name of that those films? Anyway, there's a game that I'll get the name of it. But thank you so much, JJ saying for the
Is it really
generosity.
good, by the way, Boom? Like, does it continue? Like, does it continue the story, or
It
is it like a side
continues
story?
like it's someone else, but it's a whole dude. It's really good.
Oh shit!
It's really good. Excellent.
Right.
I very much enjoyed it. It's not again, it's not long, maybe about 6 hours, give or take,
Okay.
but it was really good and very
How much
different.
is it?
It's only a couple of bucks, dude. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I don't think it was expensive. Might have been like $15, maybe. I think it's absolutely worth it. It was really good. I very much enjoyed it. Freddie Fox in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, "I'm sorry. When are we going to start holding the devs accountable? They were paid for 7+ years and still couldn't get the job done. They were paid to do. I mean, no one's arguing that. And I think
Definitely a
that
lot.
I think if there's anybody that would have given the team more time to try and figure it out, it was probably Xbox. And I'm
Mhm.
sure that they tried. They listen. I don't know for sure, folks. I'm just spitballing here. Out of all of the development houses, or the publishers, I think the one that had more money and more leniency for trying to get a project done, even though it was having problems, is Xbox. And
Yep.
Rare didn't know what they had even after all those years developing this game. And I really thought, we learned yesterday that the whole video that was used for last year's 12 out of 10 show from Perfect Dark wasn't really a game. At least that's what's being reported. Is that true, folks? I honestly, I don't know. But if that wasn't the case, then getting the initiative to bring Crystal Dynamics in, who couldn't finish the game, and ultimately it's canceled. It's bad optics all around. Sith Lord drops a very generous $2 super chat. Says, bad things happen. We can always count on mustard.
No, what? God damn it. That was.
Oh my goodness.
Just
Our
unnecessary.
generous friend all the way from Hawaii has done what he's done many, many times over, and that he has gifted one Double Barrel Gaming membership that comes the way of our good friend Nino Vestek. Brother, aloha to you and the family. Hopefully you are having a great day. Thank you so much for the generosity as always. And lastly, Freddie Fox drops an additional very generous $2 super chat and says, Helldivers 2 in the building in August. Eat it, ponies. It just is what it is. Again, folks, support.
It hurts their heart. That's what makes it funny.
Yeah, so support the studio, support Arrowhead, and they're going to use this money that they get to continue to fund their next game, which will probably be a dual release or a trio release, meaning you'll get PC, PS5, Xbox. I don't think you're going to see any more exclusivity. But you know what? Let's get into what happened yesterday, Simo. And again, we're not going to spend much time on this. We're going to do our normal hour and 15 because I do have Tyler here and I want to take him out, hang out with him and do some game hunting because he wants to go to GameStop and we enjoy doing that, right? But Okami did something. A lot of people did this. I saw Hazardor Gaming, which was in the chat the other day. So shout out to Hazardor being one of the best in the business when it comes to the Twitter community, but I didn't see his. I did see Okami's. So of course, Okami _13_ another amazing member of the gaming community. He put a bullet point list of exactly what happened yesterday, and obviously we're not gonna be redundant on our emotions on it. I want to know from the chat what happens, and I want to know from C Money what happens afterwards, and I'll reread that question after I'm done, but. Yesterday was a bad day for Xbox all around. It was probably the worst that Xbox has seen in regards to bad news. I want to say in the last 5 years, maybe a little bit more than that. A lot of people like myself were in our feelings, right? We know I said some things. I don't take them back. I love Aaron Greenberg and Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond. And Matt Booty, I do think that they are genuine executives, and some really bad decisions were made, in my opinion. I think the last time we talked about this was when Hi-Fi Rush Studios closed, and a few other closures. Closing studios and laying off people is never easy. I always equate to Xbox and more specifically Microsoft being the richest company in the world. If anyone could hold on to people more, it should be them. But I'm also not a boob, folks. I understand that ultimately, Rare had this game in development for years, right? For a long, long time, and they couldn't figure it out. At some point, you got to pull the plug, right? The one that hurts for me isn't the unannounced Bethesda game, right? From their online studios, because we don't know if that's the rumored Grogu game, right? Obviously the Mandalorian, we heard rumors that could be what it is. It's not any of the Indiana Jones games because obviously those aren't online. This is on the ZeniMax Online. So I can't be upset about a game I did not know that existed, right? Of course it's the fact that the game is canceled sucks. For me, what hurts the most is Perfect Dark. I remember a lot of fond times playing it on the N64 and was very excited to play the 360 launch title. Now, the 360 launch title was okay, right? It wasn't great. This video of gameplay that now is rumored to be fake or just a production rather than actual gameplay looked dope. Looked really good. and that was canceled. So they canceled a couple of games. They closed the studio. The initiative was an experiment that didn't work, folks. It didn't work. But the summary that Okami 13 put out there for yesterday's shenanigans, if you will, was Perfect Dark canceled, the initiative closed. Everwild canceled, Rare hit with layoffs. Banjo-Kazooie director leaves Rare after 35 years. That came the way of VGC and Andy Robinson. 50% of Turn 10, the studio was laid off. King and ZeniMax were also hit with layoffs. New ZeniMax Online IP canceled. We don't know what that IP is. Apparently, again, other things that happened yesterday that really weren't in the news. Call of Duty Studios, Ravensoft, and Sledgehammer Games were also hit with layoffs. Blizzard was hit with layoffs. 50% of the Xbox user research team was laid off, and up to 9,000 employees at Microsoft's parent company that could be laid off. Now, what the only positives that he has here, and they're not a lot, folks, is that all of the games that were at the 2025 showcase a couple of weeks ago are safe. Those titles will not be canceled. And State of Decay 3 and Undead Labs have been confirmed to be safe as well. So, I mean,
I feel like it's like I feel like it's all so dramatic. Well, let's go check to see if this game's alive. They're a $4 trillion company. They're not just shutting shit down. They're making sure that business makes sense. Every game that's announced is not on like some life support that's probably going to be canceled. Like that's the idea that this is the conversation that has to be had. Well, this game is safe. The games are safe, man. The games are safe. The games that you want to play because they're going to be good are safe. The games that are not meeting the quality bar that is now the benchmark that Xbox has set since Redfall, those games are never safe. And guess what? Every game ever announced in the history of life is not safe. Any game, until you have it in your hands, has the possibility of never finding its way and going under, or ends up in the 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 review score pile. That is the normal way of life. Sorry, you were in the middle. It's just so dramatic with the this God, woo, another one safe. Like what do you mean they're safe, bro? Microsoft is making 40 games. They've released how many games this year already? They're releasing another 7 for the rest of the year. Stop trying. This is all feeding into that pony narrative that there's some risk involved. There's no risk. The only risk that exists is if you're making a crap game. As much as I would love Perfect Dark, that would be awesome. What they showed us, if they were able to realize that into a full-fledged game, then yes, sign me up. But you just said it right now, Boom, that Perfect Dark on the 360, meh.
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah, so if the new Perfect Dark released, because we all definitely wanted it to come out, and it was just meh, does that hurt or help the gamer? Does that hurt or help Xbox? I don't think it helps. I think it puts us back into the world of, if Xbox release a game, is it going to be good? Because that's the way the world looked at them, right? But every Xbox person now knows, since Redfall, every single game they released has been high quality. It might not be in the genre that you care about, but if that game was released since Redfall, it's been high quality. It's been at a high standard, and they've been doing it ever since, bro. And no, so yes, for me, I 100% want Phil and the team to look at the game and be like, this is not good enough. What's your plan to make it good enough? We need 2 more years. Go fuck yourself.
Listen, folks, I know that might sound harsh coming from C Money, but the reason why I do like double down on what he says specifically about business is because he has his own business, and decisions like this have to get made, and sometimes those decisions are hurtful. But for the ultimate, I listen. I'm not going to cap for Microsoft. I think that it stinks to high heaven. Sorry, I just really do. But again, the reason why I could turn the coin and say I understand, I don't agree with it, but I understand specifically about the 2 games. And by the way, I just pulled a tweet here that which is pretty interesting. Destin Legary put this tweet out, and it does kind of actually confirm what I said was wrong. So shout out to Destin Legary. Again, I only went based on the reports of this game not actually being real. Well, according to Adam McDonald, a level designer for Perfect Dark, who actually put out a tweet, and he said this demo, it is actually in engine. It was one of 3 level designs that worked. It was one of 3 level designers that worked on it. It worked best if you played it the way that the person was playing it in the video, but it still worked even if you didn't hit the marks perfectly. So it was in fact a real demo, according to.
I don't think it was ever fake. Like they didn't just like magically appear it, but like he said, right? Like it worked best if you played it exactly how he played it, right? And that's the problem, right? Because people are not going to play it exactly like he played it. So as cool as that choreography was, if I don't do that, what is that game to me, right? And that's really where we got to understand that again. Look, they've been talking about this game for a long time. Okay, they have, and they've given it every opportunity. But I want to remind everyone here that the game that was canceled, okay, be it Everwild or Perfect Dark, are games that were in production before Xbox bought Bethesda, before Xbox bought ABK. Everything is different now.
Yeah.
You have to understand that those games were necessary for Xbox before because they didn't have 40 games in production. But now they get to look at it and say, you know what? As cool as that idea might have been, it's not coming together, and this is going to do more harm than good for us. Cut it. They don't need the games anymore. And that, if you take a look at how this is playing out with the amount of games we already got this last year and everything still coming this year, everything we know for sure is lined up for next year, like they are in the best place you can be as a publisher because they can pick and choose what they should continue working on and what they don't need to waste money on anymore. Again, I get it. Emotionally, it would have been cool to see Perfect Dark come back. It was a dope reveal. It was a dope gameplay trailer they dropped. But if that game is going to be trash, I'd rather not have it. I'd rather not have
fair
it.
Point.
I don't need games to exist just to exist. We're not thirsty like that. That's a PlayStation move for sure. They're like, oh shit, we need to get a game out. That's why they released a game like Ragnarok or Spider-Man 2 that was subpar. To this day, Spider-Man 2 is still bugged. To this day. So
you know what's interesting? Helldivers 2 sold more than Spider-Man 2. Fun fact. Which is bonkers. Think about that.
Just what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. So like the entire idea is just crazy. It's just crazy to me. I understand the idea that people are in their fields, like you said, you know, and they want to go after Xbox. And somebody came on Twitter because I wrote a nice post, all right, saying that, thoughts for the people who are affected, good on Xbox for going ahead and make sure that they're going to help them through the transition. They even
Yes.
offered them other Xbox positions, so it's not like get away, you're done. It's just like this game wasn't working. We're not going to keep funding this scenario. But if you want to go work on another game that we're funding, find an opening, go do it, right? So, like I said, good on them, right? And then some dude said, I know you're not going to go on your show and talk for 4 hours defending blah 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 blah. Okay. And then in here, I saw somebody saying something multiple to one guy. He's just saying it a bunch of times about
He
don't
probably
defend
got
them. They
sniped on
did
one. I think
bad
I know who you're talking
yesterday.
about. Yeah.
They did bad yesterday. Fam, I'm sorry. I'm maybe it's just the perspective that I have, being that I own a business, but I understand that this is like there is no charity here. There is no charity here. And I I want you to go ahead and for 1 second stop thinking as somebody who has skin in the game, because you don't. Okay, you don't have any skin in that game. None of those things, none of those layoffs or any of that stuff affected you personally, right? The people who got affected, they're the ones who need support. They're the ones who need good wishes. Talking bad about Xbox for making sure their business is in line is crazy. They could have $40 trillion in the bank. They're never going to keep people working on something when it's not good for them. Stop trying to put this emotion on a company and think that they should ever, as a company, sit there and think to themselves, well, what about these people? No, that's not how this shit works. Yes, the person who affected sucks. I feel bad for those people, but the conversation should only be, and I gotta say, I'm actually pretty glad to see that there were some pretty big people that could have taken the opportunity to jump on the Xbox bad wagon, and they didn't. They kept it to what it should be, which is our thoughts are for those people. Hopefully, they'll go and land on their feet. And then I also have seen people who've retweeted their posts of the people who lost their job and are looking for jobs and amplifying their voices, right? But no, what they want to do is they want to sit there and talk about Xbox or Microsoft as if they're bad people. Bad is not a name you can associate with a company that doesn't, they don't, there's no feelings involved. Unless they're out here funding terrorism or some crazy crap that is a problem for you. Like, I get that, right? That's wild. But like a video game and a software company who's making Windows and Xbox, their entire every single business that exists is about making money. Don't don't talk about it as if you can't put that, like, wrap that around your head. Okay. If the business is not going to make money from what's coming, no business will do it. No business will do it. So, like, at the end of the day, again, I understand the feelings that are involved, right? And it's easy to say, how can you do this, Xbox? No, no. Xbox, we look at it and say they could afford to give them more time. Who's to say they didn't already get to that point? Who's to say that 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Perfect Dark wasn't at that point where they said we should probably just pull the plug, and somebody in there and advocated for them and said, hey, come on, let's give them a little more time. Let's give them a little bit more. Who's to say they haven't already done that before they got to this point? We just saw the trailer last year. You don't think that's them showing that, hey, we believe in you? We believe in you, Perfect Dark. Go finish this game, make it dope. You don't think that's them saying that? You don't think
Yes.
them bringing up Everwild not too long ago? Because I see people trying to quote in February on Xbox Era, Phil Spencer brought up Everwild, right? At the end of the year, Everwild posted to 2025, like this was going to be their big moment to come out. You don't think that they were trying to do this? Fam, the games have to be able to hit. They have to be able to hit the quality bar that they want. And if that's not going to be the case, then they're going to drop it. Now, again, those announcements happened. Think about Everwild. Everwild restarted. We heard so many rumors about um Everwild having, well, I don't even know if it's rumors because the guy left, right? They had to change the whole direction. So you got to imagine that they spent the last few years trying to pigeonhole a new idea into an idea that was already made for something completely different, right? So Everwild, we already know that was in problems. We were all hoping it was going to pull through. Clearly it didn't. Perfect Dark, bro, we know that that company was started from scratch to make a game. They had a whole belief, oh, everybody's going to be doing everything and having their own say. And then guess what happened? It all went to crap. They had to bring in Crystal Dynamics. Crystal Dynamics is having closures and stuff. Like everything is happening around this game. The fact that it took to now for them to cancel it is wild. That they took that much time. It's wild that they gave them that much rope before they ultimately had to pull the plug. Like, there is not a scenario here where it's not clear that Microsoft and Xbox did everything they could to let these games get a chance. It's clear. They look at how long these games have been in development. It's crazy. But again, remember, these games came before, bro. These games were from an era where Xbox needed games. So they had these games. They started initiative. They wanted these games to happen. Rare was already cooking on Sea of Thieves, right? This was just another game that they were making, and they were given that opportunity. It's been so long. Like, it's just like, stop the bullshit, man. Just stop. You're crying. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You should not be out here crying to such a degree. If it's your immediate reaction, that's fine, right? I get it. Oh my gosh, this is happening. Sure. But then when you sit down, you got to look at it, man. You got to look at it for what it is. The messages from Phil and Matt Booty just literally painted everything out for you. Right now, Xbox is in the best place they've ever been. Okay. Back in February and leading up to that moment, what were all these decisions that had to be made that were, if it were up to everybody, would have never happened, right? The decisions would have never been made. And then guess what would have happened? Xbox wouldn't have been in the exact position they're in, right? They're in the position they're in because of decisions they've made in the past. Whether you agreed with it or not, that's where they are. And just like Phil said, the decisions they make today are going to make them that much better for the coming generations, right? It's going to put them in an even better situation going forward. Again, I know we talk about
Good
this
stuff,
stuff
dude.
because gaming has a weird way of letting people behind the curtain, I guess, compared to other industries, or maybe other industries all do this. We just don't follow those industries, whatever it is. But it's like we are getting caught up in stuff that ultimately is not hurting us. If we were the Xbox of before, okay, if we were the Xbox of before and we didn't have that many studios, we didn't have that many games come out. Like if you're PlayStation right now and they announce that Ghost of Yote is cooked, we're done, we're canceling it. That's devastating. That's devastating because they have nothing else coming out. Guys, we got more first party games released just in the first half of this year than probably ever in history. And now we have another 6 games or 7 games coming. Like, that's the reality. That's the reality. We have so many games. So 1 game, 2 games that are not hitting the bar, needing to be scrapped. And then you have Matt Booty coming out, dropping the hammer on everybody, saying we have 40
games. Yes.
40 games. And he doesn't mean 40 games are going to come out in 10 years. You're talking over the next 3 to 4 years, you're going to see those 40 games that make it through, right? Understand, not all 40 games are going to survive, right? Again, just like every other game, the game has to be good, right? But over the next 3 to 4, hell, even the next 2 to 4 years, we're going to start seeing those games drop, right? That's what's going to happen. And we are in the best position we've ever been in. So, no, I'm not going to sit here and cry and say, how dare Xbox run their business. That's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. I don't run that business. I don't know what's best for them. They know what's best for them. They clearly know what's best for gaming with them coming out here and changing most of our minds as to what we believe the gaming industry to be, right? Uniting gamers in a way that has never been done before, uniting games, bringing them onto multiple platforms. I mean, this is a phenomenal time to be a gamer, and we're worried in a crazy way. Now, again, I'm not taking away from the sadness you may feel. You know, some people have more emotional connection to things, so they feel a little more hurt, they feel sad more, no problem. I definitely feel bad for everybody who now has to go and live that. We've all been there, right? We've all been let go from a job at some point or another. You weren't expecting it. Out of nowhere, your life is flipped, turned upside down, and that's just not a great place to be in, and it sucks for those people. And I think we hurt the narrative, we hurt their pain, we take away from their pain when we try to focus on the entity that only did what they had to do for their business, right? So talking about Microsoft and Xbox in this stuff is only taking away the focus on helping these people get seen, right? So if you see somebody, if you really want to help, okay, if you really want to help, if it really matters to you, when you see these people do posts that say, "Oh, I lost my job today," then you go ahead and you quote tweet that and write a great message endorsing these
And,
people. Oh, I've seen I love their
promoting this
games.
person so maybe someone
Promote
sees it.
the
Yes,
people.
absolutely. Yeah.
Fill your timeline promoting the people you see who are affected by this, instead of filling your timeline talking shit about something that has no meaning here. It doesn't matter. They're going to do what they have to do for their business. It's not your business, it's their business. And if you don't like their business, then don't support it. But at the end of the day, the people are the ones that are affected. And if you want to actually show that you give a shit, show on your timeline that you're seeking out these people, because there's plenty of them who are out there talking about how they were let go, right? And go ahead
Retweet
and
these people's
retweet,
posts.
quote
Yes.
tweet that, amplify those voices. That's how you know you're gonna give a shit. That's how you show that you're giving a shit about those
Yes.
people. Crying on that about Xbox and Microsoft, all you're doing is showing that you rather console war than give three shit about these actual people. And that's why I'll even shout out the fact that I saw people like Paris, instead of him going out there and saying, "I can't believe Xbox did this," I can't. No, he talked about the people.
Yeah, he also
Sucks
mentioned
for those
empathy,
people.
something that people seem to forget,
Absolutely.
that are actually a human being feeling, right? Like having empathy for these people affected instead of running around as a console war POS, because that's ultimately what
Yep.
a lot of them did, and it's
That's
disgusting.
all it is, bro. That's all it
Yeah.
is. It's just people using the Xbox as a weapon now for the war, right? Oh, look at what they're dying. Bro, the people that you claim to be up in arms about are the ones that are affected, and you talking shit about Xbox is not changing anything for them. All right. So I have, and to be clear, I have seen some people, not anybody that I've recognized from like our circles, but I have seen some people who are going ahead and retweeting these other people and putting messages saying, "Oh, this person done great work. They worked on this game. This game was amazing. Blah blah blah. Take a look. They need help." Like that is the way forward. That is the way forward. Anything else is bull. And all it does is really just shows your lack of understanding when it comes to business. And again, it kind of is what it is. But the- to sit there and waste time and energy talking about something that ultimately all you're doing is trying to jump on the bandwagon, right? You want to get the clicks because you know that it's popular to do this. So this is your opportunity to go ahead and talk crap about something that ultimately doesn't matter. As a gamer, you're not affected. You can say you were excited for Everwild, but you don't know how that game was going to turn out, and you would talk crap about it if it was bad.
None of us even
You're
knew what the
muted.
game
Boom.
was. To be fair.
Exactly.
To be
Same thing
fair.
with Perfect Dark. You're saying, "Oh, I'm so excited for it. I wish they would have just released it." But if that game came out and it was trash, what were you going to say? Were you going to say, well, at least they released it, so I'm going to give it a 10? No, you're going to talk crap about it, and you're going to say Microsoft can't release good games. Like, that's what's going to happen. So you can't be disappointed about something that you don't even know what that was going to feel like. You don't even know if it was going to be good. You could be, quote unquote, man, it sucks that this game is not going to come out because it wasn't as good as it should have been, or whatever the case is. But to go ahead and like act as if you're so, oh my God, I can't believe Microsoft Xbox would do such a thing, when all these other people have been doing it. Nobody thinks they're dead, right? But Microsoft does it, and it is. And I gotta tell you, 9,100 people is a big number for sure. Sucks for all those people. But how about we go ahead and why don't we Google how many employees Microsoft actually employs, right? Because the workforce they have is crazy. It's crazy how many people they employ. So as much as it sucks, again, for the people, this is just business. Business is business. Don't cry over it. You just look ignorant. Just looks like you can't figure it out. It just looks like you don't know what's happening. And it's wild, man. Just don't, like, again, you have an initial reaction to something and you go out there, sure, it is what it is, to put your feelings out. But like, to harp on it forever, to keep going, to keep doing the tweets, to keep doing the videos, to keep talking the shit. It's like, fam, just stop. Just stop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, you made a lot of great points. And like I said, you are on the ground level of this because you understand business. And business is a harsh reality. Again, I'm not going to apologize for, calling out Xbox. I'm not going to do that. I said what I said, and I stay strong with it. Corporate greed ultimately is not just a Microsoft problem. It is it's a business problem. They want more money, and they want that money on the backs of the people. But look, real quick, shout out to gaming_dude28. Microsoft has 228,000 people they employ. Again, this is 9,100. It's a lot of humans, folks. But I make no excuse for it.
Should they go away?
They're not going anywhere.
Turn that number to 228,000 instead of 9,000? I'm just wondering. Like, if they're bad, right? We want to tell them how shit they are. Should they say, you know what? You're right. We are shit. Let's pack it in, guys. 228,000 people unemployed because you guys think we don't know what we're doing. We are so stupid. Sorry. Thank you guys for letting us know it's all over.
Thanks for coming.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all perspective, right? You got it. You can't rip them a new asshole because they have to let some people go when they clearly employ more than most companies will ever employ in business.
Yeah, no,
you're
like, 100%
and to
right.
be honest with you, letting 9,100 people go, they might hire 9,100 people right back throughout all their places that they do business. It's just that these 9,100 people weren't necessary.
Right.
That's the sad part. You know what I'm saying?
Again, you're making too much sense. How dare you? But listen, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Ralph Taylor. He says, who's buying Helldivers Day 1? I already bought it, brother. I bought the $60 edition, and it didn't cost me anything. I got it for free, which is awesome. If you listen to the earlier podcast, I'll tell you. Oh, we have a new member, Juan Antonio. Juan, thank you so much, brother.
Escudero de León. You have to say the whole thing. Boom.
Yeah, well, I can't say it like that. My Spanish is not that good, but Juan Antonio, I hope that's good enough. De León, welcome. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. It's very kind of you. We super appreciate that. Look, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a great show. $120. And you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just go off camera for a second. And my incredible nephew, who is, again, interning with me over the summer to learn about podcasting, social media, and video editing, is going to do the outros. But you know what? Before we get to him, C-Money, let's do your outro. And let's sell the brand of On Point for Gamers, because it is a great place that is growing. You've seen massive growth. You guys have been here, there, and everywhere. I really think you hit your stride last year when you showed up at PAX East, where you had all the interviews with the misses. That was a bunch of great content. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people tune in on a regular basis? I know that sometimes you do 5 shows, sometimes you do 4. And where can they tune in to On Point for Gamers on YouTube? And more importantly, subscribe to keep your numbers growing as they've been doing the last couple of months. Brother, I'm super proud of you, the work that you guys have done. Sell the brand. Where can people not only subscribe and sub your channel, but more importantly, follow you guys on the socials?
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, brother. Well, of course, obviously, you know, on Thursdays, man, love being on the show. Catch us here, Xblog Live, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. So, you know, I always appreciate that, man. So thank you so much. And then our channel is On Point for Gamers. You know, we're a YouTube channel. It's a Xbox focused channel, but it's, you know, we talk about everything from the perspective of an Xbox fan. We have been still trying to catch up with all of our coverage from Summer Games Fest and IGN Live a few weeks ago now when we were out in Cali for that. We have so much still, and we've been kind of just going through it and getting it out as soon as we can. You know, between work and life and you know the channel, it's you know gotta take get things out as fast as we can. But definitely, I did post our link in the channel. Yeah, we've kind of streamlined our shows a bit just because life is so hectic, so we kind of have to make it where we have more time to do what we need to do. So we have our shows on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. We have our shows on Thursday night, which is tonight, so 8 p.m. Eastern. We will be back talking about all this stuff and more. So definitely come and check it out. Tomorrow, Friday nights, we normally have the night shift. Let's Talk Gaming at 8 p.m. But tomorrow's 4th of July, so we will not be having a show because we will be with the fam. So we're actually doing night shift tonight. So tonight we will have our boy Hargeet and our boy Demo in the building. And we got all this the smoke and the fun stuff we got to talk about, man. So it's gonna be cool, man. So you know, obviously a lot of our homies are here. I see a bunch of our friends and people who rock out with us. If you haven't, come through, check out the channel. Come check out a live stream. But again, we don't just do live, we do, you know, we have our previews and reviews and all that fun stuff that we do as well. So you just check out the content that we have in general. With that, Boom, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. And we'll be back next week.
We absolutely will. Well, thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, C Money, for the insight as always. And I'm going to hand it over to my nephew, Tyler.
All right. I'm going to close out the show with something that is incredibly important to me and my Theo, and hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that is something that my Theo's dad taught him when he and his brothers were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend. And we'll see you next Thursday on the newest episode of Xvlog Live.